Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Wow, yes. So much is happening around the late rapper Tupac Shakur. Everybody knows about him, of course.
Yeah.
But not only did this casino surveillance video come out recently that shows Tupac and like his whole death row crew, just jacked up and after fighting who was said to be his killers that we find out later. So this video is important because it is the last reported video of Tupac before he was killed,
Mhm.
which we also found out last week. Finally, we found out who killed Tupac. So apparently, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was arrested last week and charged with murder. Even though he's often said publicly he wasn't the actual triggerman, like the gunman. He said instead he gave the gun to someone else in the car. The only other live witness is Suge Knight, and he always says, "I'm not saying zip." He didn't say that word. He said shit, but he said, "I'm not saying." He said, "I'm not saying zip." So since there's no statute of limitations in Nevada for murder, Dwayne Davis is charged in 2023 for Tupac's murder that was committed in 1996. So since Keith D says he's not the gunman in Tupac's death, I'm asking you guys, how does that affect the investigation and seeking the truth behind Tupac's death? And should Suge Knight be legally forced to speak up?
Yeah. I'll start out. So
All right.
this guy's been talking about his involvement with Tupac for years now. I think first time he mentioned it was like 2018. I mean, he's basically been saying he did it. Well, he didn't pull the trigger, but that he was involved. So,
yeah.
I mean, and then if you're aiding and abetting in murder, you're still on the hook for it in Nevada. So, I mean, I'm glad he was arrested. He didn't admit to it still, but
Right.
I mean, there's no time limit. But there was, when I was researching it, right, there was allegedly a confession, a real confession. I mean, again, he's been talking about it for years, but he was apparently dying of cancer and he wrote a memoir. He thought he was dying of cancer. He wrote a memoir called Compton Street Legend in 2019, which was taken from his house during the search, the recent search. And in the memoir, he describes his role as on-site commander during the drive-by. He talks about how he found Tupac's car. They made a U-turn to pull up alongside the car. He was in the front seat, driving a white Cadillac, and he pulled up next to Tupac's BMW. And he claimed he handed a Glock 40 caliber handgun to his nephew, Orlando Anderson, right, who you were mentioning, Gianni. He was in the back seat, and Orlando then allegedly fired the shots that hit Tupac. And then the confession was corroborated by the law. It also, in his confession, it corroborated the long-standing theory that the murder was a result of the East Coast-West Coast rap feud between Bad Boy and Death Row. He claimed that Sean Combs ordered the hit, allegedly telling him, "Man, I want to get rid of these dudes." He said that. And he said it stemmed from Suge Knight's well-known diss of Puffy at the 1995 Source Awards. I don't know if you remember it. The diss of Puffy. Neither one of you may remember it, but he came out and he's like, if you want to get with a real producer and all this other stuff, it was funny.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Iconic.
And supposedly
I was too busy being a young dad.
At first, Puffy only wanted Suge, but he later added Tupac after his diss song "Hit 'Em Up" about Notorious B.I.G. and Bad Boy. And Keith claims that he worked out the details of the hit at this Greenblatt's Deli. And supposedly, Keith asked for $1 million to kill both Tupac and Knight.
Wow.
Apparently, he never got payment from P. Diddy. And don't forget,
so this was his confession.
This was in his confession. This apparently was in his confession.
Wow.
Alleged. This is all alleged. I'm not going to say this is actual. And don't forget, the thing that set off the feud between Bad Boy and Death Row was when Tupac was shot 5 times 2 years before in 1994 at the Quad Recording Studios in New York. And and even then, Tupac himself was publicly accusing Sean Combs and Christopher Wallace, who was Biggie Smalls.
Biggie Smalls, yeah.
Yep.
For
being
doing
involved.
it.
Yep.
Setting him
So
up. Yeah.
he was accusing them then. I mean, those accusations were never proven. Of course, Puffy denies any involvement in anything. But
right.
I know you did ask, should Suge Knight be forced to talk? Now, legally, you can't force anybody to talk. You know, especially if it might incriminate them of something.
Even if they're a witness.
Dude. Yeah, no, that's his Fifth Amendment right. It's his Fifth Amendment right. He can absolutely.
That's wrong.
It's wrong. Wait till you're in the situation where you might say something that would incriminate you, and then you have to. No.
I mean, Tupac has passed away, but some people believe he hasn't passed away. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, come on, man. He did. Come on. There's a lot of people
in Cuba somewhere. He's living in Cuba.
Right? Elvis lived the good life for so many years. Come on, man.
Why do they always go to Cuba?
Right? It's where everybody goes to disappear. Just as far as Keefe D's denial of being the gunman in Tupac's death, this just adds more complexity to the investigation and the search for the truth, because this has just been a convoluted story since it happened. It definitely raises questions about the reliability of past testimonies and the dependability of claims that have been made by individuals who may have been involved. You know, if he is innocent of being the gunman, it could redirect investigators towards other potential suspects. But like Neil was saying, the memoirs are very telling in and of themselves. I don't know how much of that content is admissible, but you know, it was like Neil was saying, it was pretty much an admission of he was at least very involved. And for Suge Knight, like that said, it's his Fifth Amendment right. The U.S. Constitution does protect him from self-incrimination. So,
yeah,
he's already in jail.
So, I mean, that's a good point. What are you going to do, though? He's already in jail. What are you going to do? Keep him in jail? Put him back? I think he's in jail for life, isn't he? Because he killed someone else on video.
Yeah,
I don't know if he ran over somebody. Yeah, on video. Dumbass. Anyway, I shouldn't be talking about that because he does have influences outside. So he might get a hold of this podcast and be like, "Oh, that Neo Nicks, I'm a fun." Anyway,
he just got a grudge with you.
So Jacqueline Robinson says,
"You man, he dissing you."
Jacqueline Robinson says, "I remember." Jacqueline Robinson says, "I remember all up in the video." Matt Davis says,
"It was a real bad beef. It was a
bad beef. I mean, it was a bad beef." Matt Davis says, "Hit 'Em Up is one of the best diss songs ever." I said, I agree with that. Jacqueline Robinson says, "Short of torture, you can't force a person to say something that will incriminate them."
You're right, Jack.
So what do you think, Johnny? What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think that Suge Knight should be persuaded to say something, because this is a long-standing case. Like, this is since I've been born. I'm 28 now. This is 28 years of not knowing who really killed Tupac, and we all know that deep down somebody knows the truth. So I'm just ready to establish the truth. Finally,
Keith knows the truth.
Long. He said something in one of a video that he was interviewed. He said that he just remembers seeing Suge Knight ducking from the bullets and Tupac breakdancing is what he kind of said, because you know when you're being shot by bullets, I guess apparently it has you moving your body. So it was disrespectful, and it was like, it's just something that shows that I think that he could have, in my opinion, he could have been the triggerman, and just saying that he's not, but we won't know.
I mean, it's tragic though. This killing of Tupac, Biggie, all of that stuff. It's just tragic. Because, I mean, at least Tupac, I mean, I've seen a lot of documentaries on Tupac and some of the things he said. I mean, he basically got killed just for talking too much. I mean, he was generally a pretty good guy. I mean,
well, his mother was a Black Panther, so maybe he had like that kind of revolution spirit in him. So
he did. He didn't care. He wasn't scared of anybody.
Yeah.
And he ended up going, he was in jail. I mean, he was so young too. I mean, I didn't realize how young he really was when he was actually killed, because he had put out so many different albums and he had done so much, and he'd been in the limelight. He'd already been to jail, and I mean, gotten out of jail, and he's
lived.
Right. He like lived a life, right?
He has. He's definitely lived. He's been, yeah.
I will say, whether it's a conviction or not, I mean, what we're going to see is more evidence coming out, which is really good.
Yeah, that's true.
So we get to see exactly what some of the stuff is that, is true or not true. I mean, we make our own decisions. I mean, it'll all be alleged until he's convicted. But, I don't know. It'd be good to at least get some of the backstory, because, like you say, it's been like a mystery, hip-hop mystery for years.
Forever. Yeah, it's true.
You kept wondering why police never found anybody. Now, apparently they had recorded Keefe, what's his name again? Keefe D?
Keefe D.
Keefe D.
Yeah, they had recorded him. The police had recorded him secretly years ago. So
wow.
They were aware, but I don't know why there was a holdup. I mean, but
maybe because there's conflicting and corruptness. We all know what's going on. And then maybe with this newfound information about Tupac, who knows? Maybe we might even solve Biggie Smalls' murder.
Maybe Puffy was paying some people. Throwing it out there.
I believe it. He's a billionaire.
Maybe that's the reason we weren't hearing anything. Why we couldn't? Maybe he's paying off the police. I don't know. Who knows?
Money talks, man. Money talks.
Money does talk, Rob. Yep.
All right. Jack Robinson says when he started dissing Faith Evans, his fate was sealed with Biggie. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, he was done.
Faith Evans, yeah, because that was his girl.
And he was dissing like Little Kim. He was going after everybody.
He didn't care. That was the thing about it.
Yeah.
His mouth got him in trouble. Let's be real. His mouth got him in trouble. But often got him in trouble with the police, got him in trouble with everybody. So.
I like Tupac though.
I do too. I actually like Tupac. I like Tupac. I like his lyrics. I mean, he's deep. Anyway. All right. Is this true?
Truth,
lies, shenanigans.
I think it's true, but there's some shenanigans because I just feel like something's not adding up. Who is the gunman?
Well, there's definitely been some shenanigans for the last few decades on this.
Shenanigans and truth. I'm going with shenanigans and truth. I agree.